This wheel sinking into the mud marks a standstill on the 17th day of the Kurukshetra war. On one side, Arjuna stands in his chariot. On the other, his rival Karna is grounded in the dirt. Karna's chariot is trapped, and a curse has caused him to forget the mantras needed to summon his divine weapons. He is defenseless, prompting him to ask Arjuna for the pause required by the traditional rules of combat. But Arjuna's charioteer is Krishna, and Krishna gives a command: ignore the rules, execute the unarmed man now. These two enemies do not realize they share the same blood. They are half-brothers, born to the same mother, Queen Kunti. Pulling that bowstring requires looking back at the specific forces that placed these brothers on opposite sides of the chariot wheel. The brothers' paths diverged at birth. While Arjuna received elite military training as a royal prince, Karna was abandoned and raised by a charioteer. This labeled him a Suta, a lower caste barred from the noble arts of war. Driven to learn, Karna sought out the sage Parashurama. Because the master only taught high-caste Brahmins, Karna disguised his identity to gain acceptance. When the deception was discovered, Parashurama cursed his student. He declared that Karna's martial skills would fail him in the moment he needed them most. Social rejection left Karna with a choice: accept obscurity or use deceit to achieve his potential. He chose the latter, triggering the very curse that now leaves him helpless in the mud. Arjuna entered the war with divine advantages. This stone carving represents his arsenal. He possesses the Gandiva, an unbreakable bow, and Krishna's personal protection. While Arjuna was gifted weapons, the gods worked to strip Karna's defenses. Arjuna's father, the god Indra, targeted the mystical armor Karna was born with, a set of plates that made him invincible. Indra disguised himself as a beggar, knowing Karna never refused a request for charity. Karna saw through the trick, yet he took a knife and cut the armor from his own body to honor the beggar's request. Karna's greatest virtue, his generosity, was weaponized to ensure he was physically vulnerable before the duel even began. Krishna's lack of mercy stems from a specific calculation of dharma, or righteous duty. One side of the scale holds Karna's virtues, the other holds his alliance with the prince Duryodhana. This loyalty led Karna to participate in atrocities. When Arjuna's wife Draupadi was publicly insulted in the royal court, Karna was the one who labeled her a prostitute. Later, Karna helped orchestrate the slaughter of Arjuna's teenage son, Abhimanyu. He was part of the group that broke the rules of war to kill the isolated boy. By aligning with Duryodhana to gain the status society denied him, Karna became a participant in these crimes. For Krishna, this history overrides the rules of the current moment. Back in the mud of the battlefield, Krishna reminds Arjuna of these past acts. He frames the execution not as a duel, but as a long-delayed sentence. Arjuna obeys the command. He draws an arrow called Angelika and fires the fatal shot into his unarmed rival. The war ends the next day. But when the Pandava brothers refuse to perform the funeral rites for their enemy, Kunti reveals that Karna was their brother. The brothers realize they have spent years hunting and eventually murdering their own kin, the man who was actually the eldest of their line. Arjuna's victory is the result of his willingness to suppress his own warrior's code and his personal grief to serve a larger divine plan. Yet Karna remains a central figure of the epic because his life was defined by a struggle against a universe that demanded his failure. He represents the indomitable human will to fight, even when the gods have already decided the outcome.